Turns out you can go through the same POI twice in 1.0, and the path through the vents to the loot room could change. Guys, did we know about this? I feel like, I know I didn't know about this, not until a developer actually commented on my last video. I went through this library, it's a brand new 1.0 POI. Go check out that video if you haven't, this one is gonna have some spoilers for that. But they left a comment saying that the path through the vents could change if I ever go through this POI in another game. What? Now, I pride myself here on this channel for finding all the secret loot, all the hidden paths, all the bunkers, all the hidden anything, so that way you guys can find it yourself in your games. And now you're telling me that the POIs can change. So before you guys go into your own POI in your own game and come back and call me a liar because the path that I showed you is not in your game, I wanted to hop in here and actually just take a look and see what the difference was. How does it work? How many different POIs does this do this with? Like, I was just so curious about it because this opens up such a huge possibility for replayability in the game. Right now, you go through a POI, you learn the path, you know where the traps are. I mean, it gets a little stale, honestly. We've had things reskinned, we've had buildings redone, but now that 1.0 is out, you pretty much can learn the path of a building and then you think you know it. And I have a feeling that most of us would just go through this POI a second or third time and be like, oh, I could have sworn that this was over here last time, but I just must have been wrong and now it's over there. And you would think maybe, you know, your memory's not that great. But no, apparently this is by design and the POIs can actually change. Now, granted, for now, it's just one small piece of the path in this one library POI that does change. But I just feel like the possibilities are endless to make all these little puzzle pieces, and imagine having a building on every map that changes. That would be crazy. Alright, so to keep this simple, I've pretty much labeled this hatch as number 1 because that is the one I went through on my first video. This one's number 2 and this one's number 3. Now, in my first library video, you see I went down through this hatch. And this was the path to the loot room. And you can kind of see where they designed this so that way they could just block off a different path. So at this location, you'll find that path number 1 is blocked, where in my original video, I went through path number 1, and that was the way to the loot room. In this location, I go through path number 2, and then this is the way, which I believe is also the longest way to the loot room. And now, just to prove to you guys, this is now path number 3. I'm going to go down, and it's going to be blocked off. Alright, moving on to another location. Again, we have path 1, path 2, and path 3 again. And I'm just going to jump straight to here. This is the third path we were in. And you're going to see that now this path is open, and now this path leads to the loot room. If you're like me, you're probably wondering, how could they do this, and how can they do more of this, please? You go into the debug mode, and you open your POI teleporter, and you can see where I'm guessing, because in this map I have 2 forms of the library, and they can correct me in the comments down below if I'm wrong, but there's the standard library with the standard path, and then since I have a second one with a different path on it, these ducts show up. And this is a different puzzle piece with a different path that just sort of gets plopped down in that duct space when it calls for a different variation of this. Now, obviously, I know this might seem simple enough, but I just wanted to talk about this because I had never noticed this before. I don't think anyone has ever pointed this out before. I mean, maybe they have, but I didn't know. Maybe I'm late to the party, and I'm sorry if I am. But the possibility of having different puzzle pieces, maybe for like the factory, maybe they could put in different traps, like the trap is here in one factory but it's in a completely different place in another, and you think you know where it is but now you don't, and it's gonna get you, kind of thing. I absolutely love this. I think this is so cool. Just so you know, there are 3 different paths, so don't get mad at me if you come and watch my library video and then you realize, hey, that's not right. And I told you the wrong info or something, because apparently the POIs can now change. And yes, this is a very early version of this, and it's a very simple one because it's only one part of one building. I'm very curious to know what other buildings do this. I would love to know so that I can uncover each path. But for now, this is all I could find so far. I could not find those parts or any other duct parts or anything on my POI list. And I made several different games to do this because I am not normal when it comes to this game. I wanted to do it so you guys wouldn't have to. Comment down below, let me know what you think about this because I thought it was fascinating. I'm not a developer, I'm not a coder. I don't, make these things. I really just enjoy the variation and the variety, and I was pleasantly surprised to find out POIs can change. What? I want you guys to go to your game right now, go to this library, and tell me which path you found. You find path number 1, path number 2, or path number 3, and as always, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.